this is the star of the show, like right there. Look at that. This is amazing. Oh, it's just so gorgeous. I just love that. I just love it so much. Hello YouTube! Today I'm going to be doing a sunset scenery over water. I am using an 8 by 10 canvas over, I gessoed over an old photo transfer. On the back I have some tacks just to keep the canvas off the plastic for when it's drying. The idea is I have beach and I'm going to be putting that on the canvas. I am going to be putting some lime, some red, some orange for the sunset, and then I have this old bluey red, some blacks. It's really old from previous pour that I'm going to use for the sky. So we're going to start from the beach, but I have a film on top. I put cling wrap on top of these cups to keep the paints in good measure, but the cling wrap, I don't know if this is a new phenomena, but it doesn't stick to itself. So if it doesn't stick to itself, how is it supposed to stick to anything? It's so frustrating. Anyways, so I'm pouring the beach. I'm just getting that to tilt the canvas. Just trying to, yeah, the same old look, more chunks from drying paint. Oh, the frustration is real. Just trying to spread that along. I don't want to tilt it too much because I don't want it to go too far up, and the paint, since it has been a few days, it's a bit dry. So I'm just adding the water, and this is the dark teal. If you watched my beach acrylic pours, this would have been used for my the deeper blue waters. I kind of wish that I had some lighter green or some white to this, but that's not the point. The point is to use up the paints I already have just sitting around so that they don't go to waste. So I'm just spreading things, getting it down the sides, and again, I don't want the paints to spread too much into each other, but that's looking really neat. I like that. The water is looking really cool, really cool. I'm down with what's happening, so I'm going to add the orange for the sunset and some of the magenta, and I have a lot of the magenta. It actually looks a little bit more red, but it's actually magenta. And then some of the lime to add some vibrancy, and I have a lot of the lime as well, so I'm just trying to use that up, and I think it'll look really neat. It's really vibrant in the sky, and I also don't have a lot of the sky color, so I just want to make sure that I fill up some of the upper areas. And look at that, that is really neat. I think this is going to turn out a lot more abstract than I had originally in my mind, but I'm liking it. It's cool. It's looking really cool. So, yeah, I didn't have my wet cloth. I always have a wet cloth with me to wipe my hands off, and I didn't, so I have to use paper towel, which is really annoying. But here we go, on with the blue. It was really sticky, and I really didn't know if I had enough to cover everything I needed to cover, but I like the color. It's like a dark evening sky. Not, where you have the blazing red sunset, but then you have the dark sky coming through over top of it, and it's really neat. Doesn't look like I have very much of that sky color at all, and this almost looks like fire flames in the background. So I'm just adding some more orange because the red, the magenta is really just taking over. I'm trying to fill in some spots as well that the canvas didn't the paint didn't fill up in the middle of the canvas without spreading everything too much. Now I'm just trying to get the sky part a little further down. Oh, look, yeah. And then, but everything else, of course, is dripping down. So I have to try and prevent that as well. It's like this fine procedure of, well, I want to show more of this one color, but meanwhile everything else, it causes everything else to move, and I liked how everything else was before, but yeah, but I really like how it's turning out. It's really interesting, but there's not a whole lot going on in the red section. So, oh, clumps, more clumps. I swear. It's because the paint's old and it's drying out. So I'm adding a little bit more green, the last of it, just to add some more color in the middle, because it's just looking too plain. Some more scraping that orange. And I'm going to be mixing this. At some point my camera does die, so I'm bringing you down for the close-up now. I did just kind of pour it and then such, but anyways, so I like the blue, I like the water. The green and the orange didn't really come out the way I'd hoped. You can't really see it at all. But it is what it is. Scrolling over, I really like the vibrancy of the green there. That's quite nice. And then as we move up, this is it. I love this. This is amazing. The sky part, even though it doesn't actually look like sky to me, oh, I just love it. It just makes me a little gooey on the inside. So yeah. That's it. I'm gonna cut to the dry. So this is dry now, and you can actually see a lot more of the green coming through. You could not see this at all when it was wet. There's some texture on it. Again, I was using older paints, so that can be expected. Things got a little chunky. There's some lime green really coming through here. But this you can see from my water posts. This looks... Mandy, stop bumping the camera. You can see from my water post, this looks very beachy. This is interesting though, because it's actually darker here. Some of the red is coming through, which I like. This is very interesting. I'm not, again, like I said when I was pouring this, I'm not a huge fan of this area. It's so disappointing. It works so well when it's like beach colors, but I'm just not a fan of it. If I just cut this part out, or cut this part out, look at that. Look at that. Like just oh, I shouldn't maybe just zoom in versus put my arm over it. But like say like this, boop boop, like that. Like that looks so neat, doesn't it? But you know, when you have remaining paint, you just need to get rid of it. You never know what you can get. And it does look really neat. And like I said, I can probably get some really neat cropped images out of this. So I'm okay with that. But that is the finished dry piece. I don't have any varnish on it. And this was an old canvas. So you can kind of see... I had a photo transfer on here and it didn't turn out, it didn't transfer very well. So you can kind of see the piece of paper, which I wouldn't suggest. If you're actually doing something that's not an absolute trial, don't use a brand new canvas, because you can really see the... I also was doing some practice glosses just to see the difference between gloss and how heavy I can use the gloss, and you can see the... I don't know if you can see it, but I can see it. The different textures, and the gesso didn't quite get that. But yeah, so maybe if I glaze it, varnish it, maybe it'll distract. But yeah. So if you like what you see, stay tuned for more videos and subscribe. Thanks. Bye!